You know what the number one thing that I notice about the Pittsburgh Steelers for this year and last year in particular? It's that the Steelers this year, when they get in a deficit and they are having the odds against them, and it looks like that they're down and out in a game, this team doesn't lay down, they don't die, and they find a way to, at the very least, make it a game. And they've done that basically in every game this season. Whereas last year, the Steelers, they got in a deficit. They were trailing big time, more specifically with Kenny Pickett at QB. It's like it was game over. They're not coming back from this. They're not going to make it a ball game. They're just going to collect their dues and mail it in and just say, oh, well, we tried. Let's move on to the next week. That's the thing I'm talking about with this one. It's a change in scenery and it's a change in environment. More on that in this video coming up. What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I'm Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link down in the box below. Again, I apologize for my voice. It's still a little raspy. I don't know how long this is going to keep up. I've been taking lozenges like, they're champagne bottles or whatever. But anyway, let's get on to this video. So, obviously, just an observation of mine from Sunday's game against Washington where we won 28-27. And in that game, the Steelers found themselves in a 24-14 deficit. And I'm telling you, like I said at the beginning of this video, if this was last year's team, or if we still had Kenny Pickett as QB, or even if we, God forbid, still had Mitch Trubisky at QB, we're down 10 points to a team like Washington that always scores. They have a very, high octane offense. They have that aggressive offense. They have that air raid offense. We're down 10 points to them with any of those two QBs. It's game over. We ain't going to come back from that. The defense could only do so much. But that doesn't matter what the defense does. If the defense is out there keeping the score down as much as possible, even if the defense had an uncharacteristically bad game against Washington, which I will, a lot of people are giving the defense a lot of flack for Sunday, which I understand, but I am giving the defense the benefit of the doubt because they played a very good offensive team, okay? Sure, the defense had some really the defense had some bad moments on Sunday, like in the first drive of the second half and that 98-yard drive before halftime that they allowed. But other than that, the defense, I thought, did okay. I am certainly not blaming the defense for the first touchdown that Washington had. I'm putting that one 100% on Danny Smith for that damn fake punt that we had inside our own 20 that set Washington up in the red zone. And the defense just had very little time to prepare for that. So I'm not putting that on the defense at all. I'm putting that one on Danny Smith. But I'm getting carried away. The fact is, this Steeler team is very different. They're very resilient. And the two people that I have in the thumbnail here in particular is Russell Wilson and Minkah Fitzpatrick. And those two are simple because I thought, while I'm not certainly going to sit down here and say that Russell Wilson was perfect by any means Sunday, because he wasn't, I would say that this was his, quote, worst game as a Steeler so far. But even then, someone mentioned this in a comment on my community post from yesterday. They said that Russell Wilson at like 50% or something like that, Russell Wilson not at 100% is still way better than Kenny Pickett on his best day. Couldn't agree anymore with that. Couldn't agree anymore with that. I would take Russell Wilson at 75% over Kenny Pickett at 100%. I would take Russell Wilson at 2/3 strength over Kenny Pickett at 100%. I would take Russell Wilson at 25% over Kenny Pickett at 100%. Because at least with Russ, you're going to, even with Justin Fields in the early parts of the season, for the first third of the season, it was like that with Justin Fields. You're down in a deficit against Indianapolis. You're down 17-0 to them, and you only end up losing by 3. The Steelers made it a game right there. If this was last year's team, I guarantee the Colts win in week 4 over us by a bare minimum of 17. The Dallas Cowboys game, we did not play a good game at all against the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, it still sickens me that we lost like the Cowboys, but we haven't lost a game since the Cowboys game. So just like 2016, we lost to the Cowboys, didn't lose another game until the AFC Championship game. Knock on wood, maybe that can be the case this year, but maybe we come away and win the AFC Championship. But, I'm not sitting down here saying that, but we haven't lost a game since then. As a matter of fact, we've been playing our best football since then. But even in that Dallas Cowboys game, trailed throughout much of the game, still made it a ball game. And then obviously, the rest of the way. This Steeler team is so resilient. And even when Russell Wilson is not at 100% energy, when his energy bar is down, and he throws an arm punt interception, which, looking back on that, I put 50-50 on him and Pickens for that. Obviously, it's just, it's a poor read by Russ. It's a arm punt interception, but Pickens also gave up on the route at the same time. And Pickens also made up for it by tapping down, I think it was Jeremy Chin who intercepted the ball immediately to prevent extra yardage for Washington and put us in a bigger deficit. So Russ made up for it with 3 touchdown passes on the day. Like I said, did he play perfect? Absolutely not. But he played well enough to win. He redeemed himself. He got the game-winning touchdown pass for us when we needed it. Granted, still left time on the clock for Washington. That made me nervous, but Russell Wilson came through in the clutch when it mattered the most, and he redeemed himself. You weren't getting that with Kenny Pickett. Maybe we could have gotten that with Kenny Pickett, but we're never going to know that now because Kenny Pickett wanted to be a spoiled little loser, and he didn't want to learn under Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields took Kenny Pickett's spot, and now Justin Fields is learning what Kenny Pickett could have learned. You're not going to get that with him, and you're certainly not going to get that with Mitch Trubisky. And then on defense, Minka has a missed tackle to start the second half that goes for a big chunk play for Washington. And then they score a touchdown later. A couple plays later, they score a touchdown. And Minka Fitzpatrick's been quiet basically the whole season. What does he do? Redeems himself. I said it was Elliott that made the tackle on that fourth down play for Washington that basically sealed the game for us. Someone corrected me, and after looking at it, yes, I made a mistake right there. It was Minka Fitzpatrick and DeMonte Kazee that made the play on that 4th down. If Minka isn't there to make that play, guess what? First down Washington, and they probably could have gotten a touchdown. They probably could have won the game right there. Any score for Washington in that situation wins them the game. But Minka was there to make the play, as was DeMonte Kazee. The defense after allowing, in my opinion, 17 points because our special teams gave Washington 7 points right there. The defense after allowing 17 points, or 20 points, 20 points the defense allowed. They buckled down. They only allowed 1 touchdown in the second half after they gave up 2 touchdowns. After they gave up 1 earned touchdown in the first half. and they buckled in, held Washington to a field goal for the rest of the afternoon. Like I said, I don't blame the defense for that first touchdown. I blame that on the special teams all day. But the fact of the matter is, this Pittsburgh Steelers team, whether you want to call them boring, whether you want to call them uninspired, whether you want to call them old-headed, whatever adjective that you want to throw in there, at the end of the day, there is one thing that you cannot take away from this team that's totally different out there and has a new sense of urgency and a new sense of energy, identity, and character with that killer instinct and that clutch bone in them. There's one thing you cannot deny about this Steeler team at the end of the day, and it's that they are resilient. And they will make it a game no matter what the odds are. We've seen it all season. All season. There has not been one game this entire season where the Steelers were completely out of a game. Not one. And I do, and yes, I know I can sit down here and I can lecture you over and over and over again about the second half of the schedule. We got the Ravens at home coming up. Then we got the Browns in Cleveland on a short week. Then we stay in Ohio, go down to Cincinnati, play the Bengals. Then we play the Browns again. And then we go to Philly. Then we come back home. Then we go back on the road, last road game of the year, to play the Ravens. Then we play the Chiefs on Christmas Day. And then we finish up playing the Bengals again. Okay? I understand. This second half is brutal. The easiest team that we have left, in my opinion, are the Browns, and even they're not to be taken lightly because it is a division rival. Okay? But this team, if they just stay in the game, and they are in it the entire way, this is what a winning team does. They find ways to win. They never quit. They never say die. And they fight until there's 3 zeros on the clock. The Steelers are never completely out of it. And that's what I like to see out of this team. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.